All right, it's time to jump down the rabbit hole of spawning your power up at random locations. So, what I did to start is I created an empty game object and I just called this like my pickup spawner and I added a flowchart to it, and we'll get into this soon. And then I also have two random like game objects here, and the only purpose for these spawn 1 and spawn 2 is to hold some sort of like transform information, right? Because I need to get the transform information of each of these spawns, and I need to instantiate a power up, meaning like I need to spawn a power up at either one of these locations. So this is probably a hacky way of doing this, but it works in the meantime. I'm going to kind of watch or walk you through the setup for this. So we've got some variables. I have my random number generator, and this is just an integer, and everything is public, and I went ahead and made my game object, my power up, global, so that it can be accessed easily. I think public would be fine too. Okay, so I have a random number generator. It doesn't matter what this value is because we're going to change it based off an actual like random number picker in the flowchart. And this is also public. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a game object, and I'm going to store the prefab for my actual pickup. So that's going to be my current pickup. You can certainly like add to this, like you can add more of these and like use the flowchart to pick one. Creating a list and picking from it is not as intuitive as I thought it might be in FUNgus, but that's okay. The next thing is you actually have to create, so originally I did game objects. That's not what you actually want to do. You want to have a transform variable. What that means is the location of these objects is being stored. So instead of game object, you want transform, and this will make sense in a moment. So I've got my spawn 1, spawn 2, and you can add as many as you want. It just matters on like what kind of conditions you want to set based off what the random number generator picks. So to walk through the logic here, I'm going to click on this and we've got some stuff happening. So let me explain what this is doing. I'm using the wait command under the flow to create a kind of timer so that this stuff doesn't just fire off every single frame the game is running. The next thing is that I need to actually do something with my random number generator integer that I created, my variable integer. And there's this really lovely, I think this is under scripting, where it's one of these. Maybe it's variable. Yes, so under variable, you can actually have a random integer generated on call. So if you just put this here, it'll call this random integer from this variable at every single frame. It'll just generate a random number. So while that's helpful, you still have to use these wait functions under flow to kind of slow this down a bit. And you'll kind of see what I mean. I'll demo this. So I just pick a value between 0 and 10. And I'm going to use my conditional logic to check what number was actually generated and then perform a series of actions based off of that. So after I wait 1 second, I'm going to check the RNG, the random number generator, to see if it's less than or equal to 5. And if it is, there's some things that are going to happen. It's going to spawn the pickup that's been stored in my current power-up game object. It's going to pick a location. In this case, I just have it, I assign it a location. Having it pick one, you'd have to create yet another random number generator, and then have it check, like, I don't know, you could do this and kind of stack like what's happening, like a random number generator within this call, and then it'd just be kind of clunky. So in this case, I just kind of have different pickups spawn at different places. So here I have a reference stored to my pickup. So it's actually highlighting what things are being talked to when I select this. Actually, I didn't notice that. That's actually pretty cool. So when I select this, you can see that I'm going to get the variable value for my game object, current pickup. I'm going to tell it to go to spawn 1, and then I'm just going to make sure that my my value being, I just assigned this as well. So in 2 places, I tell it that it needs to get this pickup, and that it needs to spawn it at spawn 1. I tell it then, because this is, I want for it to destroy this pickup after a certain duration. So I do my wait function one more time from my flow list here, and I just use wait, and then I go to destroy. And so this allows, now what happens is if you just leave destroy to destroy the pickup, and you don't do this reset here, which I think the reset is under scripting. No, it's not under scripting. Where is this at? Variable. So it resets all the variables back to their default, right? So this is important because it's going to reset this pickup variable to be pickup because I destroyed it. So I need to put it, like I need to retrieve it again and store it. So I'm kind of like hard resetting all the stuff, and then it cleans up any like leftover sort of logic from this tree. So then that actually spawns something, and that picks a random, again, that picks a, it doesn't pick a random, it actually just picks spawn 1. Otherwise, if it's greater than or equal to 6, it's going to do a different thing. So it's going to get the current pickup, but now it's going to interact with spawn 2. So it's going to, the same logic is going to apply here where I wait a couple seconds and then I destroy. You can find destroy under, I always kind of mix these up, I think it's under scripting and then destroy. And then under destroy, you have to assign what it's destroying. So it's going to be destroying the current power up and then reset. And you'll see this in gameplay. If I go here, now what's kind of weird about this is that it's, well, it's actually going to sort of, it's so funny. So it's going to pick that spawn and then it's going to spawn it, right? And it's just going to randomly pick a number. And if I were to actually look at my variable here, you're going to see that every time this is called, that variable is going to change, right? See that variable's changing. So I'm going to adjust this for a second, and I'm going to have no like wait, and we're going to see how crazy this is, and hopefully it's not going to crash. Like this will be like an infinite loop of madness. And we're going to notice that it's just going to start spawning stuff. Like stuff is just going to start like crazy spawning through. There are waits here, so I guess that kind of helps. But you can see it's just continuing to go through and generate and respond to that RNG. So that is essentially how you create a very hacky, quick, random power-up spawner. And again, you can continue to add more spawn like locations, and you would just have to create additional transform variables, and then you'd have to pipe that into your logic tree here. You could have like a different spawn for odd numbers and even numbers, or like from 0 through 10. If it's 3, it goes somewhere. If it's 6, it goes somewhere else. So you can really like expand upon this kind of like logic tree here. You're going to have a lot of like if, else, there's a lot of conditional logic that's going to kind of be stacked in that way. But that essentially is how you're going to get your pop-ups to generate wherever you wish them to in your actual scene. So hopefully that helps in figuring out a more complex question for game behavior. Otherwise, the menu's looking nice, and still I think that your red bars here, it'd be kind of cool to see that really cool like neon glow like outline, or some of that psychedelic like gradient or something happening for your out of bounds spaces. But other than that, things are looking great. Really excited to see this on the arcade station. I'll be interested to pipe up those analog controls. So hopefully this was helpful, Francis. Good luck, and I look forward to helping in any other way I can.